Hi, everyone. This is Marty Burton with Personalized Nutrition Concepts, and I am really excited about starting this new segment of videos that we're going to be doing here at PNC. They're called PNC Client Conversations. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have had so many clients ask me about what do other clients do? How do other clients feel? What do other people do in this situation or that situation? And I think it's just going to be a great avenue for you to learn from other people, and a lot of things you're going to be able to relate to, and you'll pick up some new strategies and ideas. So today I have with me Phillip. Hi, Phillip.
Hi.
Thanks for good. Thanks for joining me tonight, and thanks for agreeing to do this interview and just share your experience with everybody else. So let's get started.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, let's talk a little bit about what things were like for you before you decided to change your lifestyle. Like where did things go? I do know that you had a couple of personal family situations that maybe have created your initial, you go ahead and explain that.
So I was grieving, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And even though I've always been a pretty healthy person, stayed in reasonably good shape, I lost my closest family member, and I kind of fell into a little bit of a hole. So a lot of different things went wrong at once. I was kind of under the weather, had an injury, then my uncle passed away, and all these things converged upon me. And next thing I know, I've gotten up to 213 pounds, which for me is not a good weight.
So did you get there by what you were choosing to, obviously what you were choosing to eat and put in your body, and maybe some of the lifestyle choices you made?
Correct. So the inactivity combined with the food that I was eating, the dietary choices I was making, it just did not work out.
Can I just go back for a minute? How long were you actually, the grieving process, I think, continues, and we just go through phases, but how long did you sit in that grief before you decided, okay, something has to change?
Wow, almost a year.
A whole year. Huh? And would you say that you put on the weight that you had gained during just that time, during the grieving process?
Primarily. I would say, yeah, because I really wasn't doing anything in terms of exercising, working out, or anything like that. And it kind of came once, it kind of snuck up on me, so to speak. So by the time I moved here to Arizona, I ballooned up to the 213. I remember one evening I had to go out for something for business. I had to wear a suit, and I tried to put on my shirt, and the button just popped off and went flying. I said, "Yeah, no."
Was that the turning point?
No, I'd already started with you at that point, but I was like, "Oh, okay." Let's just say that was an extra motivator, okay, and it really kept me on the straight and narrow in terms of sticking with the program.
So when you were in the grieving process, what was it about that process where you just felt like, did you feel like you just couldn't get off the couch? I mean, was it a depression that you fell into?
I just, it's interesting. I guess I'm a functional griever, so I still did everything I normally did.
Okay.
But there was still a hole, and I guess for me, it would catch up with me at night. And night is when the cakes and pies would come.
That's when we have time to sit down and relax and really think about.
Exactly. And, it'll be very late at night because I would stay up. It might be 11 o'clock. I'm eating a cupcake. Sure. It tastes great. You feel better. You go to sleep. But the cupcake never really leaves you, does it? So,
no, you wake right up with it the next day. It's not physically there, but it's there.
Exactly.
In some capacity, right?
And enough nights of doing that is going to add up over time, combined with the inactivity. And, I got to the bad place.
And intellectually, we know that that's not going to solve the problem, right?
Right.
So, but it's amazing how things like that can just creep up on us before we realize, oh my God, the button just popped off my shirt, right?
Exactly.
So, all right. So then you moved from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
To Arizona. And I think I had met you when you were only here for you hadn't been here that long.
Yeah, I got here in August. I guess we met sometime in September.
Yeah.
I would say maybe early to mid-September.
Mhm.
And I had said to myself, I gotta do something about this because I'm looking at myself and it just did not meet my own personal standard.
Mhm.
But I didn't want a quick fix. I wanted something that would obviously be effective for what was going on with me at that particular time,
Mhm.
but something I could carry with me for the rest of my life. So I
Mhm.
wanted to make a lifelong life change.
Yeah.
And I got lucky and then I found the right person the first time.
Well, good.
So
Thank you for that. Have you ever tried a quick fix?
no, I mean, I'm really not a quick fix guy, but I've tried like a lot of different people, intermittent fasting. I've tried like the what's called the warrior diet. I've tried all kind of different things,
Mhm.
but they weren't sustainable in all
Mhm.
candor.
Mhm.
This is something that I found it to be easy to follow,
Mhm.
and the way you structure your program, there's a lot of accountability, consistency. There's coaching, of course, but very specific help around just what you're going to be putting in your mouth every day,
Right.
which was very, very helpful. That's one of the reasons why I decided to go with you. When you laid everything out, I said, "There's no way I can fail doing this," and that's
Right.
exactly how it worked out.
Yeah. And so, but not everybody feels that way. So what do you think was your mindset? What was your mindset like? Because I know you've had a tremendous amount of success. Do you want to share your success with everybody?
Sure.
How much body fat have you lost?
Wow.
A lot.
A lot, like at least 20%.
Okay. And how many pounds have you lost total?
33.
That's amazing to me. I just think that's amazing. So you have to have a certain mindset to do that, right?
Mhm.
You don't, people, I think, just because you have the menu doesn't mean that everything is just going to fall into place.
Well, I mean, that's true. A lot of it does has to come from the individual.
Right.
And like I always say, I mean, I had kind of already made the decision that I was going to succeed
Mhm.
before I even walked in the office.
So if you were coaching somebody or helping somebody get into that place of this is what you need, this is how you need to think prior to taking on something like this, what would that conversation sound like?
Well, I guess if I were going to have that discussion, I would probably ask a question. I ask them questions, and it would center around what is that pain point? What is that
Mm.
place that you've gotten? What is that thing that's happened to you? With me, it was the button popping. Okay, that's what's kind of spurred me on. But everyone has that thing, that one thing that happens to them that makes them say, "Oh wow, okay, this I can't keep going on like this. I have to make a change."
It's kind of like the pain pleasure principle. We don't really get moving in the right direction unless there's enough pain associated to where we're currently at, right?
Right.
But at some point, as you start getting results, you start losing weight, you start losing body fat, and then that pain starts to diminish.
Well,
And you no longer have that as a motivator anymore.
I call that the trap. So that's the trap.
You call that the trap?
That's the
Okay.
trap. So because I know exactly what you're talking about. When I really started seeing the results
Mhm.
in the mirror,
Right.
okay, I said, okay, wow, this is great. Let's keep going.
Mhm.
But I could have, I mean, and it would not have necessarily been unreasonable if I were to say, okay, let's stop. But I had a picture in my mind of what I wanted to look like. And until I got to that place, I just was not going to stop.
Mm.
But the trap is once things start getting better, you start taking things for granted. You start saying, "Oh, well, I can maybe have these French fries," and next thing you know, you're having this French fries, and then you're having a Coke, and then you're having, and it seems like very small little cheap things that you're not going to, Marty will never know. But it starts
shows up.
it starts to act right. Well, the truth shows up in the tape and with the calipers.
It does sometimes. Yeah.
And that's why I think the accountability is an important piece too.
Right.
Now, my ultimate accountability was always with myself.
Right. That's great. That's what.
But I didn't want to. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want to come to the office and have you say, "Well, what have you been doing?" And then I'd have to explain that I had some ice cream cone pizza. So
you didn't want to have to confess that.
All right. And for me, that was more important than the temporary pleasure of the
Was it?
of the cheating. Yeah.
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 Plus the results you were seeing.
Yeah. And exactly. I have what I call my how I look in the mirror naked test.
Is that what you do?
And that's what I call
it. Keeps you moving
Yeah,
forward.
absolutely. And
so what is that?
I will literally just stand there, just me, no clothes, and I will be cold and objective. I will not give myself any kind of break. I'll have the template in my mind, and I'll put the reality against the template. And if they don't match, then you have to keep going.
That's interesting.
And people always gasp when I say that.
I just paused for a moment.
When I talk about
my 30-second pause.
When I have my how I look in the mirror naked test, but that's how I motivate myself. I say, okay, well, this is what you say you want to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you look like now? Does that match? Yeah. And if the answer is no, well then.
And I think that's a really good way to keep you moving. But let's face it, in today's society, especially for women, with social media, Instagram, everybody has this, I think, really unrealistic perception of what they should look like based on social media and all the editing of photos and just this unrealistic standard being set for men and women, right? So I like that you do the picture test and you don't take it beyond something that's not reasonable, right?
Correct, because I think, and that's a good point you brought up with social media.
Oh, it's terrible.
When I do I have people that I admire and I'm like, man, I'd like to be built like that guy. But when I do my mirror test, it's always me. It's not trying to look like someone else.
That's the point, right?
And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is people will look at themselves and then look at a different person, and it has to always be you. So imagine what the best you looks like, and then that should be your template.
It should. And, I always find it so interesting, being a nutritionist for almost 30 years now and working with thousands of people at this point, I have always found that, men and women, both genders, they get to, when they first come in for their assessment, they tell me what their goals are, right? And I'm like, okay, that's great. That's realistic. If it's not realistic, I'll let somebody know that. But then they'll hit that goal and they're like, wait a minute, I thought I wanted that, but I want more. You know what I mean? And so it almost seems, and I worry about this with everybody, because at some point, I want people to really start thinking about loving themselves instead of this image that they think they have to achieve, because it always seems like when I work with people, they'll reach their goals, but then that's not good enough. And then they'll set a new one, and then they reach that, and then, oh wait, no, I want more. And it's like, okay, when are we all just going to get to the point where, wow, I look amazing, and it doesn't have to be a number on a scale. It doesn't have I see that so much, and it breaks my heart, because
that's the other trap. That's the other trap. And that is something that occurred to me, and I didn't allow myself to get to that place. Okay. So now we make our adjustments based on whatever activity I'm doing. So let's say if I decide I want to gain muscle, then we'll make a change.
Right.
But I'm not going to keep chasing this, I want to be perfect. Perfection is an illusion.
It is.
It does not exist.
It's never attainable.
Exactly. And I don't necessarily chase perfection so much as I chase just being the best version of myself.
Right.
Based on, my circumstances, my age, all that kind of stuff.
So. With age, we have to focus more on our personality and our charm.
Right. Of course.
Just kidding.
But I wanted to be able to be fit, lose the body fat, but not lose muscle. And that was and I accomplished that.
You did.
Now I admit that
you accomplished that a long time ago, I thought.
Yeah, that's true, and it's so funny. I did go through a little bit of the I accomplished this goal. Now I didn't think that I would get this it'd be at this weight. Meaning, I thought that I would get where I wanted to be, frankly, almost 10 pounds ago. And and what was a pleasant surprise that I was able to keep going and I'm feel much more comfortable, because now it's a lot more about how I feel in my skin. Like I feel comfortable. I feel I'm supposed to be at this lower weight. I feel healthy. I have a lot more energy. I remember one day I had to run something. I was running and I just felt much lighter and faster. And it's just a better everything just works better, you
Mm.
know.
And would you say that's the one driving force? So like when you're faced with choices, like everybody's faced with choices, they're faced with, should I go out this weekend with my friends and have the wine that I want to have, or have that dessert, or, the cupcakes that are in the break room or whatever? I have a lot of clients ask me, what do I do in that situation? And I like other clients to explain maybe what you've done in those situations.
Well, my weakness, so to speak, is a sweet tooth.
Me too.
Alcohol wasn't a big deal. Like it was easy. It's easy I just don't do it. That's completely over
It's just off the table.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, but I'll give you an example. So, I ate out a couple nights ago,
Okay.
and this place is this really nice dinner at a steak. It was wonderful.
Mhm.
And they have carrot cake there for dessert.
Mm.
I didn't do it.
You did it. How did you? What was that like? What
Well,
was that dialogue?
well, so I said, okay, you know what? I got to earn that cake because I want to have the cake, but it
Okay.
might just be another couple of weeks.
Okay.
So, because okay, here's something else. Okay, this is something very important.
Oh, good.
One wonderful thing about this process is that you get to know your body.
Mm.
So you get to know what you can do and what the consequences are going to be when you do what you do.
You sure do.
So, so that's a huge advantage around being able to do some of the things you want to do. So it's not, you're not going to have to live this strict monastic life for the rest of your,
Right.
your time on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know how things affect you, then you can kind of work around it. So I know that, if I'm, really good for the next 2 weeks, I can have the carrot cake and it really won't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And
If you still want it.
if I even still want it.
Right.
But it's good to know. It's kind of like money in the bank almost.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you save up, and then, you want to indulge yourself, you go withdraw some money and have some fun.
Right.
Within
Exactly.
reason.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose your moments of joy
Exactly.
and when you're going to indulge. But I always tell clients, when you make exceptions like that, and you definitely can make exceptions like that, but I have found when we start making exceptions, they start becoming the new rule again, right? And it's very easy to revert back to old behaviors when you start making exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot with clients. They say, okay, not that you can't ever make exceptions, you can, but I see a lot with clients that, they committed to not maybe having any wine in their 12-week in one 12-week block of time. And I'm like, great. But by the third week, they've decided to have just a glass of wine, and they stuck to that. But then the week after that, then it's two. And then the week after that, then it starts, and it starts becoming more and more and more. So I know that's never happened to you.
No, because see, that takes us back to my how I look in the mirror naked test. So, because that's a harsh test.
It is hard. I don't know if I could do that.
It's a harsh test, and you have to steel yourself to do it. So,
but you also have to have a healthy body image if you're going to do that test.
That's true, but at the end of the day, that's what ultimately that keeps me in line even more than you.
Okay.
And
there you go, folks.
That's a harsh
stand in the mirror naked
and just tell, just be honest with yourself. And I challenge whomever's seeing this. I challenge you all to do it. It doesn't matter where you are in the process, because if you can begin there, and if you can do that in and of itself, I could argue that that's your biggest hurdle. And if you're able to just face up to who you are, where you are in that moment, be with that, and then focus on where you want to go, it gets easier.
Yeah, I think definitely, people that do have a healthy body image, that's a great standard to check yourself on. And I also think another great way for people to check themselves, I don't think people give themselves enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're more inspired by, and we're more motivated by positive things, right? Mm-hmm. So I think like progress photos are a really great thing, because if you took a progress photo once a month, where you might not like the data on the scale or the tape measure or the body fat, but those photos don't lie.
Right.
And in a 4-week time frame, you can definitely see a difference. And I've had so many clients I had this one client, I'll tell you a story. She was so frustrated. She would she would go to CrossFit like 5 times a week. She was working her tail off and she was following her menu. And she would come in and step on the scale, and she was so scale focused, it just never moved. And I would do her body fat in inches, and I would reassure her, no, you're losing weight. You're doing great. And I could see it. She could not see it. And I'm like, you're doing amazing. And every week it was the same thing. And by the end of 3 months or whatever, her 4 months, she had only lost 4 pounds.
Okay.
She was so frustrated. I said, do me a favor. I said, before you get mad at me, don't get mad at me. Go home. Do you have a before picture in a bathing suit or anything? She's like, yes. I said, can you do me a favor? Just go get that same bathing suit and take another picture and put them side by side. Will you do that for me? And she said, absolutely. And so she did it, and she texted me immediately after she saw the difference. She's like, oh my God, since she was losing just body fat and not muscle tissue, she was gaining muscle, which weighed her way more on the scale. But she was losing all this body fat, and looked like she lost 25 pounds instead of 4. So
totally different body composition.
So those photos are key to really deciding if, you're making changes or not necessarily the data that's on your spreadsheet.
Agreed.
Right?
Absolutely.
So just real quick before we wrap this up, what would you say was the most challenging week you had in this process, and how did you get through it?
The most challenging week was probably towards the beginning of the whole process. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So the day before, or the night before I came to see you, before we were going to start everything, I had one last honey bun. Okay.
Honey buns were your favorite.
Honey bun, that was my thing. And because that was, how I would kind of deal with things. That was what I would do to feel better. And I said, okay, this is the last time, and it was. But I'm not going to lie and say that tendency didn't rear its ugly head.
It will.
When maybe I was under some stress, or maybe, that was just something I was used to doing to deal with things.
Right.
That would be my, I guess, most difficult part in coming to the realization that I was, to some extent, using the food as opposed to eating and enjoying it. And that was something I had to kind of get through. I never slipped up. I can honestly say that I never cheated. Thank goodness. But it was not always easy, because it was always there, maybe gnawing at me. Come on, this one time. She'll never know.
Right.
But I decided that, like I said before, it was more important to me to get where I wanted to be, as opposed to having that quick fix and that little temporary boost.
So in the moment, you would just remind yourself of that. You would just take a brief moment and just real quick in your head saying, okay, is this going to get me what I want? This one decision.
And it was, what do you really want? Do you really want to do this? Is this what, and then there was a mirror. There's always a test.
There's that mirror test.
So, how's a mirror going to treat you? Okay. And then it was just, I get through it.
And that's why these interviews are so great, because everybody has different strategies. The mirror test worked for you, and it may work for someone out there. It wouldn't work for me, but doesn't mean it's not right. I still use the mirror test. The mirror test is tough. The mirror test never goes away. The mirror's always there, and it doesn't. I don't know. I know, and I know some people are at a place where they can't even look in the mirror right now, and that's really sad. But at the end of all of this, seeing everybody on a daily basis, I just really want to add a component to teach people how to really love themselves regardless of where they're at. And that makes everything easier. When you love and respect yourself, this whole process is so much easier on you emotionally, mentally. Absolutely. And, manage your expectations of yourself, because I think what's out there and what we see in the world is not real a lot of the time. So. And maybe it might be a good idea to turn off social media. Yeah, exactly. Just completely divorce yourself from it. Get off Instagram. Detox. Facebook. Just turn it off. Focus on yourself. Maybe that time you would be using on social media, read a book. Personal development, right? Absolutely.
because it's just not, it's created a really toxic environment. And to tell you the truth, a lot of the people you see on Instagram, they're not real.
Right.
A lot of them are enhanced.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of them use what they call them filters. They're not real. You're not even seeing the real them. So you're comparing yourself, your real self, to a fake person. So I would say maybe, take a break, an extended break.
Right. And also too, you can't reach goals beyond your current mindset. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's why personal development every day, at least for 15 minutes, whether you're in the car, you can listen to Audible. If you have Audible, you can download some book that resonates with you. But work on yourself internally, work on your mindset, and that's going to help you reach your goals more so than anything else. Would you agree?
Agreed. Absolutely.
Agree. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phillip. And Phillip has been an absolute gem to work with. It's a great guy, great friend now. And so, yeah, so hopefully this video has helped someone, just some little piece of information. You stand in the mirror naked test. Try it. I don't know.
I haven't got anyone else to take the test yet, so I don't know.
Maybe we'll do a challenge.
Hey, sure. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, Phillip, thank you.
Thank you.
And bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.